What's up, guys? We're back. All right, so it's your boy James Hawk. We're here for another one today. This one's going to be really cool. A lot of people have been asking for this, so we're going to go straight into it today, and that is the top 5, all right, objections, closing objections that you get while cold calling, making offers over the phone, especially people that are doing this virtually, right? Like, you encounter this all the time. If you are doing deals virtually, you are running into these top 5 objections from sellers all the time. We're going to get into it right now, and then we're going to also talk about how to overcome them. All right, so number one being, how are you going to know how much you can pay for my house, what you're willing to pay me in cash for my house without actually seeing the house, right? So that's definitely one that you're going to encounter, especially with, it seems like, like the older demographic, right? They always seem to have an issue with this, and they can't quite understand it, right? Like a little bit younger generation, more of a tech age, they get it a little bit more, so it's a little bit easier to explain to them. But what you need to tell them is this, right? That you are entrusting in them to be so this is like, you're trying to build trust, right? And credibility with them. So you need to stress to them that you are relying on them to give you the most accurate and real information about the repairs, updates, what's been done to the house, what hasn't been done to the house. Obviously, you're going to look up permits and stuff like that and see for yourself, right? But there's other stuff that you're not going to know from that, and you're relying on the seller to give you that information and make sure it's accurate. So you're kind of putting that back in their court, right? And another thing about doing this as well is, you're going to put a contingency in there anyway, right? That the house needs to be inspected. Since you are virtual, you got to do that. That would not be smart if you didn't do that, right? So definitely do that. But let's move on to number 2. All right, number 2, and that's closing the gap. Usually when you're over the phone versus actually in-person appointments, we do both. We do over the phone, we do in-person appointments as well. We prefer in-person appointments, right? Like, you just get to build a lot more of a relationship with them, really dig into what's going on. And there's something about that eye contact, that face-to-face interaction that you can't compare to over the phone, in my opinion, right? And not saying there's anything wrong with doing it over the phone, but that's just what we've tested, what we found to work best and be the most effective in our business. So that's how we prefer to do business, right? Is in-person appointments. But going back to the phone, closing that gap. Usually when you're over the phone, right, they're going to come up. If you can get them to give you a price, which you should be able to, they're going to start up here. You're going to be realistically right here, right? And you're going to try to give them as much information as you can about the market, what's going on, comps, justify your offer, break down all the calculations. You should be doing this, right? And you can even send them emails right then and there while you have them on the phone, showing them what's going on, right? If you have REI Automator, you can just, bam, hit them with a comp report, send them some market data right there through email really quick within a couple clicks of a button, right? So anyway, if you do that, guys, I'm telling you, it will make it a lot easier to close that gap. And this is kind of going to flow through the rest of it. I'm not going to just finish on this right now because some of the other ones actually coincide with this. So let's get into number 3. All right, so that is, you have not built enough rapport, trust, or credit, or given them enough reasons to believe that you're a credible company, right? So you've not established that relationship yet, and given them what they need to feel comfortable to start like moving in huge increments on their house, right? And sometimes you might be close, like in price, you know what I mean? It might not be a huge gap, but a lot of the times when you talk to a lot of people, there's going to be a large gap there that you need to close, okay? So there's other ways to obviously do this as well. Calculate repairs, right? I mean, you should be informing them as much as you possibly can, but also keeping in mind that some people are just completely unrealistic. If you get some of those people that are just hard-nosed, don't spend like 2 hours on the phone with them. That's why you need to be prepped and have all this stuff prepared, that all right, so I got to do this really quick, get this off of this person if they're interested. That way you're prepped for it. You can just hit a couple buttons, bam, send it to them, and then review it with them over the phone. That will definitely help you. Okay, so you got to build the trust, rapport, and make sure that they believe and understand that you are credible to do business with. That is going to make a huge difference in how negotiable they're going to be with you as well. All right, so let's get into number 4. All right, number 4 is, and this is a common one that you're going to run into all the time, especially when you're brand new, and that is, how do they know that you actually have the money to buy that property, right? And this one is going to definitely scare a little bit more of the newer people, but as you start doing more deals, you become more advanced, like you should always be looking for some kind of money source, right? And if you can do that and get proof of funds, then that is something that you could put in that packet and send to the seller, you know, that little credibility packet while you have them on the phone. Boom, proof of funds in there, you know, roughly around, you know what I mean, whatever the price is really quick. If you just had a template one that you could plug in the data, bam, send that out with it, and there you go. Or show that you have available funds, however much, yada, 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 right? So there's different ways you can do it, bank statements and letters from private lenders. I know there is some sites out there that offer this for free as like a proof of funds letter. I wouldn't necessarily go that way. I would be looking for someone that's real, a real lender, and a real proof of funds. And this is going to actually get you so many more deals if you could send this to them, because now all of a sudden it's real, right? Like, you're not just telling them, hey, I have the money to do this. Like, you're showing them, and that makes all the difference. So that's a huge tip, guys. All right. So let's get into number 5. Number 5 is, and this is a big one, you haven't solved their problem, right? So if you haven't solved their problem and you've made it all just about the offer, and I talk about this all the time, obviously is not necessarily a real win for them, right? Because if they have another underlying issue that has nothing to do with price, right? Because remember, you and the seller are always on the same side. The market dictates the price. You're not dictating the price. You're not making the offer. The market is actually making the offer, right? Based on whatever work it needs, et cetera, et cetera. So you and the seller are always on the same side. And you know, that's why you're never making it about the actual dollar amount or money. You are making it about solving that problem. The price comes secondary to that. So definitely an objection that you'll get as far as actually closing that deal right then and there over the phone is, if you haven't really solved the problem, then you might not have given them enough reason to actually work with you if the price is actually secondary to them. So always keep that in mind. Always be trying to solve the actual problem, not just make the offer. And as always, guys, if you have anything that you want to say, comment below. If you want me to get further in detail on any of these, add some more, whatever, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, turn on the bell for notifications. And also, guys, REI Automator, still 30% off. Go click the link below. The code is down there. We're going to be taking that down soon, and we just released a ton of like free updates in there, so you definitely want to be in there and check it out. We actually have tax defaults in there on the local level as well now, which is a very, very hard and desirable list. It's a hard list to get, right? So you can literally go in there, boom, click a button, and you can get those right away. So anyway, guys, make sure you go do that. 30% off. It's going to be going away soon. I love you. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.